Oh boy, you're a meter. Oh boy, nobody sweeter. I mean that girl of mine. I'll say she's simply divine. Oh boy, I wanna tell you, my heart is gone. Maybe this will give you some idea how we carry on. Say, when I call, she takes my hand, but you ain't heard nothing yet. And in the hall, we act just grand, but you ain't heard nothing yet. When we talk about the weather, then we cuddle close together. That's great, but wait, you ain't heard nothing yet. She's got such charm, such curving arms, but you ain't heard nothing yet. And I can't wait until the date when I'm married to my pet. We'll have such cute things running round our bungalow, you bet. We'll first commence with a picket fence, but you ain't heard nothing yet.
Wow, that was some intro.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
I am running the show, so let's say a little prayer.
God help us.
We've done good so far. There's people, so we're good. We want to say hello to our sponsors, Americano Ammunition Coffee, best coffee in Arizona, especially in Queen Creek and Santan Valley.
Yes, it's good.
So we have a new special blend, their World Blend, that they just came out with yesterday. So I had to run over today and get some bags of it, and it is really, really good from what Dad says. I can't have coffee later in the day or I'll be up all night.
No, it's very good.
It smells delicious.
Yeah, it's good.
And then I had to get, while I was there, because why not, I had to get some Red Hen Bakery, their lemon poppy seed cake. Absolutely delicious. Go by and get some. They have muffins and all that stuff. I haven't tried any of the muffins, but the lemon cake is good.
Yeah, sounds delicious.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, that's good.
Super, super good. And if you guys want to come and check us out on our website, see Coffee Table Chronicles, chroniclenoza.com. Come and check us out. We have gear and stuff for sale. Our lovely shirts that we're wearing. You can't really see mine. Super comfortable. Come and check them out. And then we are also on Spotify. So come and give us a listen while you're driving to work, at a soccer game, watching the kids. Who knows? I don't know. Whatever you guys Spotify.
You can see it on a video on Spotify, too.
Yeah, you can watch us on the video, same as they watch us on YouTube and everything else.
Yeah, I checked it out the other day. Yeah, looked good.
You watch Spotify, Dan?
I got lucky.
Why is your phone on?
What?
Have you not been trained to turn your phone off?
My phone's not on.
Yes, it is. It just dinged. Fired.
Why don't I have to get picked on already?
Give it to me. Let me turn it off.
I know how to turn it off.
No, you got to turn it off on the side.
There you go. See? I know how to turn it off.
Well, I wasn't going to turn it off like that. That works. Okay. His phone's off. Don't call Dad.
No, don't call me.
So we are talking about movies today. Hope everybody's week was good. I see that Christine and Mom are on. Happy June 7th.
What's
Sounds
June
good.
7th?
I can't believe
What is it? Is it a special day or something?
June 7th.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's Wednesday. I just broke the computer. I was like, We're good. It's fine. I was just hitting buttons. Totally fine. Totally fine. Okay. So let's bring in. I'm very slow with this. I'm so sorry. Let's bring in our movies. I want to see. How's it look like? Or the other way? We could do it the other way. And make us. Huh? You like
Yeah,
that?
that's better.
You like that better?
Yeah, they don't need to
Because
see
the
us.
writing's little. They don't need to see us.
No.
I did my hair.
Okay. No, what
Just
I
for
wanted
everybody.
what I wanted to say before we start this is I want to clear up a couple of things.
Uh-oh.
The idea of the show tonight was not to pick out our favorite movie or the best movie of that year or anything like that. It was to look for the movies that had, whether it was
Hidden agendas?
right, a subliminal message or a direct message, or
Didn't
just
they do that in the 70s with music?
they did it with a lot of things, or just an idea that they wanted to express.
Yeah.
So that's what these movies are about. So if you see movies that you never heard of, or movies that you say why
Don't feel bad.
why were they there instead of this, that's the reason. Because these are the movies that I looked at, and some of them I haven't seen in years. So you have to bear with me. There's a lot of movies here, and some of them I don't remember that well, but I remember enough to talk about them a little
All
bit.
right. We're good with that. So this is the History of Movies Part 1. There will be a Part 2 next week when Keith is home. Thank God. Keith will be home and I won't have to do this anymore. I am not the technical part of this. Hi, Taylor. I'm
Hi.
running the show, so please pray for me.
Hi, Tella. Hi, Jake. Hi, Alex. Hi,
Emma,
Grace.
Grace, all that good stuff. Okay. Here we go. So the 6th of October, 1927, the first talkie movie of history. It was the Pioneer Outstanding Talking Picture, which has revolutionized the industry of motion pictures. October 6, 1927, a date that probably doesn't tell anything to you, but 90 years ago today, an audience at New York Warner's Theater watched the most important heard, The Jazz Singer, a motion picture that holds a significant place in film history for being the first talkie ever shot before. Is that what they called movies back then?
Talkies, yes.
Was a talkie? Okay.
At the beginning, it was talkies.
Because it wasn't an actual visual thing, it was a listening thing.
Well, because
It had
before that,
pictures.
everything was visual. Everything was silent movies.
Oh,
before
yeah. But no
So they had to
voice
emphasize the difference.
Oh,
They
okay.
were talkies. So that's why.
So
they
it's
said-
not, because a silent movie was just a movie back then, right?
Yes, it was a movie.
Okay.
But to be clear on one thing, even though this was supposedly the first movie with sound, it really wasn't. In 1926, they had several movies that came out that had like synchronized music scores.
Oh,
and
okay.
sound
So like
effects.
orchestra kind of
And
stuff.
sound effects, but,
Oh, okay.
but no dialogue.
Oh, okay,
This
okay.
is the first movie that came out that had, and it was
Like
only
characters and words and
Right.
stuff. Oh, okay.
and it was only part talkie. Most of the film was silent.
Yeah.
So get that clear too.
Oh, okay. So being a rarity among silent movies of the time, The Jazz Singer operated a revolution in the movie industry. Starring Al Johnson, it tells the story of Jackie Rabinowitz,
Rabinowitz,
that too, played by Al Johnson.
Al Jolson.
Jolson, whatever.
You never heard of Al Jolson?
Not a clue. The son of a Jewish cantor. What is a cantor?
He's like a priest, I believe, or,
Okay.
or some type of rabbi. I should
Okay.
say, not a priest, but a rabbi.
Who declines to follow in his father's footsteps. Instead, he dissembles his Jewish identity while trying to make it in the world of popular music. Just as Jackie is about to hit the big time, his father falls ill, forcing Jackie to choose between his family or his beloved showbiz dreams. Most silent, the movie compromises 281 uttered words, among which one of the most famous American movie lines, wait a minute, you ain't heard nothing yet.
And that's what you just heard in the film clip. To straighten out, clarify one thing. I'm wrong about that. A cantor is someone who sings in the synagogue.
Oh, okay. Like one of the...
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm wrong on that one.
Okay.
But yeah, what happened with when the Jazz Singer came out, I mean, people were still so used to silent films. They
Yeah.
were shocked when they sat down
Well, of course,
and
it's
this
a whole
came on.
different thing.
You know, you can imagine actually hearing them speak for the first time. It really stunned people. And what it did to Hollywood is it turned it upside down because they all rushed now. Warner Brothers, Paramount.
So who produced this?
This was Warner Brothers, I believe.
okay.
But they all rush to get a movie out now with sound, and it wasn't easy because they had to change all the equipment.
Well,
They
yeah,
had
you
to-
have to do everything different.
They had to find actors that sounded good on sound. So many.
Well, that's the same as going from like non-visual movies to visual movies. Like
Yeah.
now you got to have
more special
people
effects.
that look okay,
Right.
as opposed to the hot messes we have today.
Right,
you know?
but the problem back there was a lot of the major stars. I'm talking about the Rudolph Valentinos, but not particularly him. But people like that, half of them they couldn't use in sound because
they didn't have good voices?
Their voices were terrible.
Oh,
In
wow.
fact, I think it was John Gilbert, who was a real I guess I'm trying to like a Brad Pitt at the
Okay.
time or something. He sounded like squeaking all the time. They-
Oh no, like a
they-
13-year-old boy going
yeah,
through puberty.
they couldn't use it. So a lot of them lost their jobs. But it was a big event in Hollywood, and it turned Hollywood upside down.
That's cool.
Yeah.
We have a new person, Liv, that's on. Thank you, Liv, for joining us. Oh, it's Billy. Daughter hijacked your phone. Well, that happens.
Who was it?
Billy. My daughter hijacked my YouTube account name. That happens, man. These kids.
Yep. Hi, Billy.
So here we go. 1928.
Right.
Email Jannings the Last Command, a former Imperial Russian general and cousin of the Czar, ends up in Hollywood as an extra in a movie directed by a former revolutionary. Director Joseph von Stauffenberg stars
Sternberg,
Emily.
right.
Stars Emily Jennings, Evelyn Brent, William Powell, and Jack Raymond.
I see you know these by heart, huh?
Absolutely, totally.
What's unique about this?
Made by Paramount.
Yeah. What's unique about this film? It's not so much the message it sends. This happens to be the first film that an Academy Award for Best Actor was awarded,
Okay.
and Emil Jennings is the one that won it. So that's why I list this more as an event than a message.
Okay. Okay. So did they not have any of those awards or anything before?
No, they didn't. That was the first time they did it.
Because that was at the what? At the what?
The
event?
Hollywood.
What event
No,
was it that you just said?
You
The
talking
Academy
about
Awards.
You talking about the Oscars? The Academy
I don't know.
Awards.
Whatever you just said.
The Academy
The
Awards.
Academy Awards. So what did they have the Academy Awards for?
Well, that's the first year they had him. He
Oh.
was the first one that won Best Actor.
That'd be Billy Dresser.
But yeah, I know who it was.
Yeah,
That's
he
right.
stole. He has his. Yeah, that's funny, Billy. So sad that you end up with Liv because they stole your stuff. I'm so sorry. What can you do, these dang kids? That's what you get for having 3 girls.
There you go.
Sorry. So, 1929, George Arliss's Disraeli, Prime Minister of Great Britain Benjamin Disraeli outwits the subterfuge of the Russians and chicanery, I like that word, at home in order to secure the purchase of the Suez Canal. Very nice. So
Yep.
what's that about?
Well, what makes this unique again is that George Arliss, who was a very popular actor, and he was beloved in Hollywood, he was the first British actor to win an Academy Award because he won for that year.
Yeah.
Best Actor, and he's also credited. This is why I added this on. He's credited with discovering James Cagney, Randolph Scott, and Dick Powell, which you
Alrighty
probably
then.
don't know who any of them are.
Nope.
Yeah, but there are people out there that do.
Well, that's probably true.
Yeah. So anyway, that's why I chose that as a film that had an influence in itself.
And that was made by Warner Brothers.
Yes.
1930, All Quiet on the Western Front by Universal Picture.
Right.
A German youth eagerly enters World War I, but his enthusiasm wanes as he gets a first-hand view of the horror.
Right.
What's that about?
Well, obviously, it's about
Obviously.
First World War and the German young people in school being coerced and using propaganda to talk them into joining the army at very young ages, having no idea, loyal to the country, patriots. They believed everything they had to say. They went over there and they found out it wasn't glorious at all.
Well,
it was
don't they do that
bloody.
with everyone?
Yeah, it was bloody, gory, and for a movie that was that old, is very graphic, and there's a lot lot of violence, and there's a lot
Well,
of
and
bloodshed.
especially back then, because they didn't
Yeah.
really have anybody that was like saying, "Hey, don't do that."
Yeah.
So you
But-
kind of just did it.
Right, but they were trying to get, when they first came out with the movie, it was an anti-war movie.
Yeah.
No doubt. It's the first one.
Yeah.
Anti-war all the way, and everything that you look at, you're saying, I want no part of this.
So
And
when
that-
was World War One?
19, you tested my
am.
1914 to 1918, I believe.
Okay, so it was good and over
Yeah,
when this came out.
Yes.
When was World War Two?
1941 to 1945.
So it hadn't happened
well,
yet.
it
Okay.
depends. That's when
Yeah.
World War One.
But I mean,
World
it
War II.
wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't 1930. So
Actually-
World War One was way over.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Well, it was 1930s in Europe for World War II, because it started.
But I mean,
in
for us, yeah,
right.
like we're, so this comes out and we haven't started World War Two
Right,
yet.
right.
Okay.
Right.
That was my
So
question.
that's why it's the first anti-war film
Okay.
that was created.
That actually sounds good. I think I might want to watch that.
There's a new version out now.
Is there?
That's pretty. Yeah, that's pretty bloody too, but it's well done. It's very-
Nice. Okay.
I think it came out last year.
Sure.
Yeah,
We'll go with it.
why not?
So 1931, The Public Enemy by Warner Brothers.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, I'm trying to read little print. I don't know why that's enticing me on who made it. An Irish American street punk tries to make it big in the world of organized crime. Ooh, bum bum bum.
This is what made James Cagney a star.
Okay,
Before this,
I know that name.
Right. Before this, he was doing bit parts and small parts, nothing big. This made him a major star in Hollywood.
Okay.
And what's remembered about this film more than anything, believe it or not, there's a scene where he's sitting with a girlfriend at a breakfast table,
Mm-hmm.
and he's trying to get rid of her, and she keeps talking to him, and he gets angrier and angrier, and he picks up a grapefruit, half a grapefruit, and squashes it in her face.
Oh no!
Yeah. So that
Why
one,
is he trying to get rid of the girl?
Well, he was done with her. Look,
Oh, like he didn't want. Okay, I didn't
guess
know
so,
if like he
yeah.
was having a different
No, but
conversation or
that
something.
stayed around. Even to this day, there's people, well, my age anyway,
Yeah.
that remember that scene.
That's
because
funny.
They almost censored it.
Well, that was the first time. Like that's almost like they would see it as like violence against women.
Yes, it was.
So yeah,
And
they would definitely.
They were ready to censor it, but the last minute, somebody must have paid them off.
Said
or
no,
something,
yeah.
and they let it go through. But that's what it's really known for. He's a real bad guy, and he started out as a kid with another kid.
Yeah.
And they grow up on the wrong side of the tracks, and they get led astray.
Yeah.
And it shows you how easily young people can be led astray. So that's kind of part of the message too. That
You don't watch your kids, and especially back then, like it was very.
Right. And there were so many reasons to be crooked because it was the Depression.
Yep.
Nobody had money. So it was so easy to go wrong.
Yeah.
And that's what happened to them.
Well, because how are you going to get fed?
Right,
So
right.
you take care of your family or you starve.
There has a very violent ending. And
Ooh.
the purpose of it is to convince young people
To
that's
not
not
be
the way to
bad.
go. Because
Oh, okay.
this was made in 1931.
Yeah.
Or something? 1931, and there was a lot of trouble with young people back then because of the Depression. A lot of street gangs, a lot of young hoodlums that were.
Well, and again, because you have to take care of your family. So
Right.
they see mom working hard and everything else. So of course
Right,
they're going to
right.
try to do what they can do.
Right. But back then, like, if you committed
What
a
did they
murder-
like tear them apart in the streets or something? I don't know how it ended.
Well, no, I can't tell you that.
Just
You-
in shooting and stuff. I'm not
you
going to
got-
watch it.
You got to watch.
I'm not going to watch it. Does he end like? Do they cut him in pieces? Like how's it?
He's
end?
in the hospital recovering from gunshot wounds, and they kidnap him and they deliver him to his mother and his brother. They knock on the door, and he's standing there, with the bandage around his head
Yeah.
still and a bullet hole right there.
there
And
you
he
go.
sways a couple of times and he goes
And
down.
thump. Oh, that's cool.
And that's the end of the movie.
Oh, that's cool.
There's a little music in the background, but that's
That's neat.
Well,
Okay. Okay.
That's neat.
That's neat.
Whatever.
I like that.
Anyway, it's a good movie, but again, it has a purpose in itself. And interestingly, back then, if you committed a murder and you were a teenager, you had a very likelihood of being executed too.
Seriously, that's
Oh, yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah. There was some
I love
executions
that.
back then. Yeah.
I love that. Can we go back to that?
Well, anyway. Okay.
1931 as well. Little Caesar. I don't know who made that. Rico is a small-time hood who knocks off gas stations for whatever he can take.
I
He
think that was
heads
Warner Brothers too.
east and signs up with Sam Vetroni's mob. Bum bum bum.
Right. This is a guy with a big ego. He's a little guy, obviously. He's only like 5'5".
He looks like super Italian in that picture.
He's
like,
not, though.
Right?
Edward G. Robinson is Jewish, so he's not Italian. But
Well, in the picture, he
he's a
looks
small
like he is.
guy. He's like 5'4", 5'5", and he's walking around with this big attitude that he wants to be top boss someday. And so he joins this big mob, and he starts out like the small guy there.
Yeah.
And in no time, he's taking over, until he finally takes over. And
Well, I mean, that's going after your dreams there, man.
well, that's what he was doing in the
Right.
wrong way.
Well, yeah.
But it all backfires
It's
at
ambition.
the end for him too. But this was another picture that was discouraging crime,
Youth to be bad.
because at the end he dies a miserable death. He gets machine gunned, and he has some famous last words. Let's see if I have them here. I don't know if I do.
Caesar's right there.
Mother of Mercy, is this the end of Rico? And that's the way it closes.
Oh, okay.
But it was a very, very violent ending because
And dramatic and music, I'm sure.
getting killed by machine guns. Nobody gets away with
You're
that.
you're not walking away from that.
No, that's for sure.
So, okay. Then we got 1932. Oh, Tarzan. Ba, ba, ba. Made by.
That one I don't know. Can you see it?
Nope, it's too little.
Sorry about
I
that.
can't blow it up, people. Sorry. 1932. A trader and his daughter set off in search of the fabled graveyard of the elephants in deepest Africa, only to encounter a wild man raised by apes. Dun, dun, dun.
What's different about this movie?
Oh, this was done by Van Dyke?
No, not Dick Van Dyke.
Oh.
No, different guy.
So
Dick Van
excited.
Dyke wasn't even born by that
I
time.
know, but that was like his daddy or something?
Anyway, what's unique about this one are two things that people remember. First is the Tarzan howl. When he pounds his chest, it's actually a recording of an elephant
What?
mixed with a hyena.
Really?
Yeah, that's what they did.
That's cool.
Yeah. So he actually doesn't do it. They
Of course fakes it,
They
yeah.
dub over it. But the most
That's cool.
the most interesting aspect of this movie, it's way ahead of its time, and it was probably the last movie made before the Hays Commission came into power in Hollywood, which was the censorship, where they really started knocking out
Messing with things.
Because there's a scene in here with Jane, who's played by Maureen O'Sullivan, that she actually is swimming underwater naked, but it's not camouflage naked. It's not maybe naked.
Like stark
maybe not.
naked?
Stark
Like that's your
naked.
birthday suit?
And you can see everything. And if you get
Hi, Christine.
an uncut, hi Christine, if you get an uncut version of it, you can see what I'm talking about. And it is available in uncut. So that's what everybody, that's
You'll
why
see
people,
some stark nakedness.
I just know that's probably why all the teenage boys went back there to see it 7
5,
times.
6 times. That's why they made so much money.
Exactly.
Hello, Andrea and Arthur. It's about time.
Hello.
We're missing you guys. Just saying. You missed the stark naked conversation. You're gonna have to go back and look. So 1932, we had Scarface. Howard Hughes. So Howard Hughes,
Yeah.
he fought. So censorship started in 1932 because he fought a lot of it.
He did, especially when he made the movie The Outlaw in 1948 or 49.
Stop jumping ahead. We're at 1932.
Well, I'm just saying, that's the one he fought. You're referring to him fighting.
But he
That's what-
fights for a lot of them. Like,
Yeah, he does.
He fights for a lot of like
He does.
cleavage and women's dresses and stuff like that because they got super crazy, I guess. So, an ambitious and nearly insane violent gangster climbs the ladder of success in the mob, but his weaknesses prove to be his downfall. Oh, is that about the woman?
Well,
Karen
yes.
Morsley Boris? Boris is in there. Boris.
I don't know that.
Says Karen
I know
Morsley
what it
/
says.
Boris.
I know that. I know what it says. It's about him and his sister, though.
Oh.
And
Eh.
the only reason why this is in there is because this is a continuation of the anti-crime movies. That
Oh, okay.
You don't want to do this because
So this is still on
this
that same, because it is a year later.
Yeah, this is what happens if you do this, and he has a violent ending too. And
Oh, they're
there-
moving their daughter into the new house. I knew it was soon. Okay, sorry. Have fun moving. I hate moving. Let us know when the housewarming party is, so we'll be there.
I can't read who's saying that.
Andrea.
Oh, hi, Andrea.
They're moving Andrea's daughter and
Oh,
son-in-law
okay.
into they're moving from California down here. So They've had fun moving.
I can't
Have
read any
fun.
of that.
You're good. I
Anyway.
put it up for a minute, and then you
Oh,
can't
okay.
read that. You have your
No.
short glasses on.
Anyway,
So no crime.
this was another crime, anti-crime.
Did he die at the
story.
end? A violent death?
Yes, he did. But there was a remake of this with Al Pacino
Oh yeah.
called Scarface that does not really follow the same.
No, just totally
It's
stole the
totally
name.
different, right? Well, no, the characters are similar. And
Oh,
everything.
okay.
And he has a sister. The plot's the same, but
Similar, but
the
of course it's gonna
atmosphere
be
and the
different.
characters, everything.
Well, of course.
totally different.
But still same general.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Then we have 1933 King Kong. Ba, ba, ba. I didn't know the first King Kong was in 1933.
Well, we don't even everybody knows King Kong, whether it's from the 1933
And that was by
or-
Radio Pictures.
Yeah, RKO. Yes, that's correct.
Huh, okay.
RKO Pictures made that movie, and let me tell you something about that movie. It's considered to be one of the first monster horror movies.
Oh, yeah.
If not the first. And let me tell
Well,
you,
there's been nothing like that.
no, there was anything like that.
No,
before.
it's all just been gangsters, pretty
But
much.
what makes this picture unique is the stop animation. Now, when we see Jurassic Park and these other pictures that have dinosaurs in it, it's fantastic. The technology is phenomenal. But back then, we're talking about 1933. They had to do stop.
I don't even know what that is. Like, do you literally just
They-
stop the camera
you know,
and then move everybody
It's
around?
similar to cartoons where
Oh, okay.
they take a drawing and they take a shot,
and then they
take another
okay,
shot.
okay.
It's similar to that, but in this, it's like live models.
Oh,
And
okay,
they
yeah.
move it around.
They do that with some of the cartoons.
Right.
There's the chicken one or whatever that they did that with, and it was
Yeah.
like clay or something.
Yeah, so that's how they did it with them. But if you look at it, considering it's 1933, it's amazing, really.
It's pretty good?
The technology at the time was, no, we laugh at it now because
But for 1933, like that's pretty good.
if you look at it for 1933, it's fabulous, really.
I'll have to look
And
it up.
the first time I saw that was in 1951, I believe, because back then they show old movies in the movie theaters
Yeah.
because they didn't have as many new ones.
To
that
new
came out.
one, yeah, to redo.
And I went there, and it scared the bejesus out of me. It really did. I couldn't believe it looked so real, especially the first time you see him coming out of the gate. It's like, oh boy, this
Oh,
is
goodness,
real.
here he comes.
Yeah, yeah. So it was a real good movie, and it still does well when it plays on TV.
Oh
Believe
yeah,
it or
I'm
not.
sure because everybody knows it. Like
mean,
it's not something.
They get past the stiff acting and all the
Well, yeah.
the things because they were still learning how to act with sound. That was another thing in silent films.
You're not even 10 years in yet.
No, in silent films, everything was motion.
Yeah.
Everything was exaggerated.
Yeah. So now you're not doing that exaggeration. You're doing that voice, and it's a little different.
So you could still see some of that exaggeration in the early films.
Yeah.
So anyway,
So it is a film. A film crew goes to a tropical island for a location shoot where they capture a colossal ape who takes a shine to their blonde Scarlet and bring him back to New York City. Because that, sounds like a great idea to find a monster and then bring him back home. Just saying.
didn't work.
Not so much.
This is a Beauty and the Beast type of theme.
Yeah.
And what takes this a little bit further is we're talking about censorship in that. And Hayes was involved now because they were in power.
Yeah.
And there's one scene where King Kong is peeling off Fay Ray's clothes and literally peels them off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if you get an early cut of the film,
Yeah.
she's exposed. Of course, they had to cut it out again.
course.
But if you get an older version, it's still in there.
So that one and the naked swimming, we got to go.
There you go. Go find
Okay.
it. Yep.
So 1934, together for the first time. Oh. Clark Gable, I know that name too. A renegade reporter trailing a young runaway heiress for a big story joins her on a bus heading from Florida to New York, and they end up stuck with each other when the bus leaves them behind at one of the stops.
Yeah, it's a good story. It's a comedy. It's
It sounds all sappy.
It's not. It won an Academy Award. It's not one. I think even Clark Gable and Claudia Colbert won for that year. But
That was by Columbia Pictures.
yeah, that's not what this is about. I picked this out again. Remember, messages or uniqueness. This one is when Clark Gable. They're sharing a motel room, okay, and they have they have a blanket separating them because they're not married or anything. Anyway, he's getting undressed and he doesn't wear. He takes his shirt off and he doesn't have an undershirt on. And back then, every man wore an undershirt. So what he did with that scene is he almost put the undershirt business out. because all men stopped.
Now everybody stopped
It's
because they're
true.
not cool anymore.
For almost 2 years, men were buying undershirts. And it really, that goes to show you star power and movies, what it can do.
Oh, yeah.
The power that it has. And that's what happened.
Well, and that's
why I brought
probably
it
the
in.
first one that it's truly happened with.
Yeah, it is. It's the first one. Exactly.
Crazy.
Yeah.
They realized there that they had the power.
Right. And that's what, that was my whole.
Kind of terrifying.
That's why it's in there.
It's kind of
But
terrifying.
that was a good picture too, though. It did win Academy Award, so.
Next, we've got The Bride of Frankenstein. Blah, blah, blah. 1935, Mary Shelley reveals the main characters of her novel survived. Dr. Frankenstein, goaded by an evil matter scientist, builds his monster a mate. Bum, bum, bum. So did Frankenstein come out before Bride of
Yes.
Frankenstein? Okay.
I was going to say that. This is not the first one. Frankenstein came
Universal
out first.
Pictures made it.
I believe it was in 33 or 34. Boris Karloff played the monster back then, too. The reason why I chose this film
Yes.
was we start getting into, dead bodies where they create other people from dead people, and this is the first time they used the interaction between a male and a female monster, and there is suggestion in it that they mate and things like that, and it's a little bit far out for that time. And
Like kind of like sleeping with dead people?
Well, two dead people sleeping together, I guess. I don't know. They don't show you that, but they suggest that.
It's implied.
And it was a shock to some people when they saw the actual Bride of Frankenstein, who was Elsa Lanchester, I believe.
Yep.
Is she in there somewhere?
Yep.
Yeah.
Boris.
Boris Karloff, yes. But she played the bride. And just as a trivia, most people here probably don't know some of these actors, and I understand that. But we wanted to start from the beginning of sound, so you got to bear with us on this. But she was married to Charles Lawton, who was a fabulous actor back then. He played the Hunchback of Notre Dame back then.
I know that movie.
Yeah, well, I think it might be on here. I'm not sure.
Maybe.
Anyway.
1936. Gary, what's the name of the movie?
Can't see
Mr.
it.
Deeds Goes to Town. You have your papers in front of you. Why are you not in order?
Because I don't have that one.
Mr. Deeds, is it Mr. Deeds Goes to Town?
Yes, Mr. D's goes
Okay.
to town.
And that is made by Dogs Barking, sorry. Frank Capria production?
Frank Capra.
But it doesn't,
Right.
who produced it?
He made It's a Wonderful Life. He made so many good films.
No, I just didn't know what, like,
I
picture film
can't
did
tell
it.
you.
It's not, I
don't
can't
know.
read it on there. So an unassuming greeting card poet from a small town in Vermont heads to New York City upon inheriting a massive fortune and is immediately hounded by those who wish to take advantage of him. If anybody wants to inherit me a bunch of money, I'm okay with that.
Well,
I'm not moving to New York, but,
obviously
fine.
that's the message, especially in today's age when you read about so many people winning the lotto and getting,
People taking your money?
attacked and.
So what is the message in that? Don't trust anybody? People suck?
No, that getting rich in itself doesn't make life better. That's what the message is.
okay.
You got to know how to handle it and do the right thing with it. And that's what he struggled with. And he was a good guy, but that's what he struggled with.
He was a
didn't want to
softie.
say no to anybody. And they all used him. And they treated him like a fool. And that's
was
what
a softie.
Yeah, he was a softie. But that's what's happening today. Almost everyone that wins a lotto, I'd say 60% of them are broke in 5 years.
Well, 60% of them were broke when they started,
Yeah,
so
but
why
that's-
would they not be?
I know, but there's a point behind
You're not
that.
going to change that.
There's a point behind that, though.
It's fine. 1937. Oh, Snow White. Was this Walt Disney's first thing?
This was his first full-length animated feature. That's why it's here.
1937, exiled into the dangerous forest. I didn't do the right kind of voice. Exiled into the dangerous forest by her wicked stepmother. A princess is rescued by 7 dwarf miners who make her part of their household. Was that better? That was better.
Now, I'm sure everybody here has seen this, but if not.
Not the original one.
No? Okay.
I don't think I've ever seen the
Really?
original
Well,
one.
you should watch it. It's still available. You should watch it.
Is it a cartoon? It's a drawn picture cartoon?
It's an animated cartoon, but the figures are unbelievable. I mean,
Yeah?
the story just flows. Snow White is a pretty young lady. The seven dwarfs are unique. I mean, they're unbelievable.
They're like little gnomes.
Yeah, but exactly. That's a great way to describe them. That's exactly what they look like. But
what they do.
each one of them has their own personality. I forget all of them. Doc and Snoopy, Sneaky,
Yeah, sure.
and all that stuff. I don't remember them, but it's a great movie, and it won Academy Awards
Sure.
for
it did.
animation. Yeah,
If that was the first one, I'm sure it did.
Yeah, it was very, very good.
So that was just, it didn't have any
Hmm?
hidden messages, just the first one.
No, not
All
really. Not really. I mean,
I just
there was the
wanted to make
wickedness.
Well, there's the Wicked Witch.
Yeah, exactly.
The wicked stepmother.
And when she put it, she poisoned
So was
her.
that, ooh, look at me going down a rabbit hole. So there wasn't much divorce in 1937. So with her being the wicked stepmother, was that like
Yes.
telling people don't get
Well,
divorced, don't get a stepmother, don't get like
that's really-
stepmothers are going to kill your kids? I don't know.
That's really looking deep into it.
That was me just jumping down that
I
rabbit
don't
hole. Did you
think
see me
so.
just
But if you're asking me about divorce back then, it was frowned upon. I mean, all the way through the 1960s, it was frowned
Yeah,
upon.
and it's in the 30s. Like that was just
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
You just got married.
Yeah,
and you just
I-
murdered him, or
Right,
you know,
yeah. Because I mean, if you were a woman, a divorced woman, especially, that's
you were almost like
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and which is so unfair, but
because the men were still out there
Yep,
spreading
exactly.
theirs around. Okay,
Whatever.
1938,
1938,
Robin Hood,
Robin Hood.
produced by somebody in Technicolor.
I'm surprised
I don't know, I
you
can't
didn't blow
read
it
that.
up more than that.
You want to know? I am not the producer, so you can take that up with him.
Okay.
When Prince John and the Norman lords began oppressing the Saxon masses in the King Richard's absence in 1190s England, a Saxon lord fights back as the outlaw leader of the resistance movement. Ba, 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 ba.
Well, this is the whole theme of this is.
Didn't he steal from the rich and
There
give
you
to
go.
the poor?
You got it. You got that. That's exactly what the message was. That's
So
what-
it's okay to steal from
No,
the rich
What
and
does that
give
mean?
to the poor?
What does that say to you, though? You're rich. I'm poor. I want some of your money.
I'm gonna take all your stuff and
What
it's
is-
fine.
What does it say?
Communism.
Socialism at the very least, right? This was
Yep.
the first time this came out like that, and believe me, it rang a bell with people. People realized early on what they were trying to say.
That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
Because he never got in trouble or anything for it, right? Like he was praised.
No, he was praised. He was a hero. He's a legend. There was no real Robin Hood. There may have been guys like him back then.
Oh, I'm sure there was.
The reason I know that, I went to visit Nottingham, is where this all takes place, in England when I was over there. And I was so disappointed because I'm picturing this big, gigantic woods, Nottingham, where all the bandits hid out and everything, and it was a park.
Seriously?
Yeah. He said, oh, no, they cut that down long ago. They put buildings there. And
Aw, that's just
I said,
mean.
well, what about Robin Hood? Because I'm looking at the statue. There's a statue of him. Oh, he's not real. He's just a
Then why does he even have a statue?
he's just a fat, because it drew tourists
Yeah, it's gonna bring.
to Nottingham. So there might have been people like him, but there was no real Robin Hood. At least that's what I was told. Yeah. But that's exactly what it was. It's the first kind of inching towards, let's think about
Socialism, let's-
socialism. Yep.
You have to give everybody your stuff.
Yep.
No, thanks. 1939, the year that was often called the greatest year for films. Holy wowzers, you got a bunch of stuff on here.
Yeah,
So
you
you
can
got
read them.
Gone with the Wind, The Wizard of Oz, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Stagecoach, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. I've heard of all of those. I've not heard of Wuthering Heights.
Oh, it's one of the great ones from love stories from 1939.
Oh, that's probably why I didn't see it. Drums Along the Mohawk. I haven't heard of that one either. Garbo. Garbo Laughs? Or just Garbo?
This is the name down here.
No, is Garbo their
Natasha.
name?
No, Garbo is Greta Garbo. She starred in it.
Oh, okay. So no,
Natasha, it's a-
Nikitachina?
It's a Russian Harris.
Yeah, I've never heard of that. The Roaring Twenties.
Right, it's a gangster movie with James Cagney and Humphrey Bogart.
The Women.
Women with Joan Crawford and oh boy, I'm trying to think of who else.
Norma Shearer.
Norma
Shearer.
Right. And,
And Rosalind
Russell.
Russell.
Right.
Okay. And then we have Only Angels Have Wings.
Right.
I literally thought that said donut on the top of it. I was super excited. Goodbye, Mr. Chips.
Right. Goodbye, Mr. Chips won Best Actor that year. But every one of those won something that year.
Okay.
Gone with the Wind won Best Picture, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
And I think Vivian Leigh won Best Actress. And the first time an African-American woman won Best Supporting Actress.
Oh, cool.
Hattie McDaniel. She played the, I guess she would
Like
the
best
house
friend or
servant.
something?
No, the house servant
Oh,
of
okay.
Scarlett O'Hara. She was
Okay.
fantastic in it. I mean, because I love Olivia de Havilland, who happens to be in it too, and I thought she was great. And she was also nominated for that
Yeah.
role. But
Didn't get it.
no, Hattie got it, and I was glad because she was fantastic.
She was good. And The Wizard of Oz is just, I mean, come on now.
But the reason why that's what makes this year unique. There were so many great pictures, so many awards given out, and the first, like I say, first African American female to win the award. What's sad about that, I don't remember. It's what hotel it was. Hotel Roosevelt, maybe in California is where they held the ceremony back then, because it wasn't like it is now.
Yeah, no, it was
And,
just a convention center kind of thing.
She wasn't allowed to sit with the group in the audience. They had a separate table
Oh, yeah.
for her in the back. And Clark Gable found out about it, and he was furious. He was absolutely furious, and he let everybody have it.
Yeah.
But that's what happened back then.
But somebody has to stand up. Nobody's
He did.
going to do anything until
No.
somebody pitches a fit.
He did. He did.
So
Yep.
1940s. At the turn of the century, in a Welsh mining village, how green was my valley?
Mm-hmm.
The Morgans, he stern, she gentle. Is that like a thing? The Morgans, he stern, she gentle,
Yeah.
raise coal mining sons and hope their youngest will find a better life.
She's an easygoing mom, an Irish mom, Scottish mom, actually, I should say.
Okay.
Or Welsh mom.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Welsh mom. I'm correct on that. And he was a very stern.
Oh,
He
okay,
was a
okay. So
coal
like he's a
mining-
coal mining. He's very
Right.
stern, very strong,
and all
very
his
okay.
sons take after him. They all go work in the coal mines.
Okay.
But it's about how the workers were treated back then.
Yeah.
Before they were union.
Oh yeah,
This
they
was
were
like,
pretty much slaves.
This was like saying, let's get unions in
Unions.
there, because everybody was fighting in Hollywood about unions at the time for their own representation.
Yeah.
So this helped them push it by seeing how cruelly and how they had the working
How
conditions.
everybody's so hardworking.
So many
and-
young people died. It's a very well acted movie. I think Maureen O'Hara's in that movie. If I remember right. They managed that.
Maureen O'Hara, Walter Pigeon,
Yeah, everybody in the movie.
Donald Crisp, Anna Lee, Randy McDowell.
Roddy McDowell, yeah. But they
Ready, Ronnie? I can't say.
were Roddy.
Ready?
But
Roddy?
anyway, they were all terrific in it, and it's a type of movie that you enjoy watching because you see the family, how close they are, and how they handle the individual tragedies. But it's really, like I said, it's about the mistreatment of workers back then.
Which I get. I mean, yeah, it's a hard-working job. It's not fun.
No.
So that one was a 20th Century Fox picture. This next one, everybody's talking about it. It's terrific. Oh, Orson Welles. Okay. Citizen Kane by. Nope. Don't know. Can't read that. So 1941, following the death of publishing tycoon Charles Foster Kane, reporters scrambled to uncover the meaning of his final utterance. His final utterance? Right. Rosebud.
Well,
So was that like what he whispered when he died?
yes, it was, and everybody was trying to figure it out. You find out at the end what Rosebud is, but
Like a cat or something?
no, it's not the cat. But the
That'd be
reporters
good.
can't find out what it is, and that's part of what the story is. But what's unique about it is this movie was considered the best movie of all times for a long time.
Really?
I don't know if it still has that status.
I've never heard of it,
because he
so-
was only 27 to 28 when he produced this, directed it, and acted in it. So he was.
I just saw that he was actually like in it. So
Yeah.
was he the first director, producer,
that. I can't answer.
actor?
That I don't know.
Okay.
I can't answer
Good
that.
question. Andrea, Google that.
But anyway, so he was accused of using the character Charles Foster Kane that he portrays in it as a likeness to a newspaper publisher tycoon back then, William Randolph Hearst, and he got sued, and there was all kinds of legal, goings on, and William Hearst himself had problems because he had a girlfriend who was an actress that was murdered, I believe.
Oh, that's
And
bad.
So all kinds of things were going on, but the movie is really known for the fact that he's one of the youngest people ever to produce, direct, and act in a movie.
That's
And-
cool.
Yeah,
He looks like a baby in the picture. He looks like he's like 12.
but it's also about he's not 12, he's about 27 to 28.
Still
But
baby.
The movie is about more than just a publishing tycoon. It's about what newspapers can do when they sensationalize
power.
news. That's how he became famous. He stopped the mundane, everyday reporting of the news, and he wanted flashy news. He wanted big pictures.
Come look at me.
Oh yeah, and he was successful at it, and people bought into it because they loved it. Just like you asked today.
exciting.
Why do people always like violence or watch this stuff?
It's exciting.
It went all the way back to then.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Interesting. Okay. So the power of the print.
Power to print. Yep.
Dun, 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 dun. Casablanca. Oh, I love that movie.
Casablanca. You actually saw this movie?
I love Casablanca. 1942, a clinical expatriate, whatever that word is.
Expatriate.
Expatriate. Wow. Yep, it is. American cafe. I just saw coffee. Cafe owner struggles to decide whether or not to help his former lover and her fugitive husband escape the Nazis in French Morocco.
Well,
Humphrey Bogart.
this is definitely a propaganda movie against the Nazi Germany and Adolf Hitler. And
So it's not really pro-war though.
it's
mean-
it's pro liberty and freedom.
Yeah.
And right then, France was fighting for its freedom, and it was divided because it was conquered. Germany defeated France.
Yeah.
And so they were actually, in control of France at the time. They had their soldiers there. They had their Gestapo there. They ran everything, and they put in a French mayor and a French governor who were called Vichy French, who were totally supportive of the Nazi Party. So France was kind of divided in half, and most of the French people fought against the Nazis. So there were some that collaborated,
Yeah.
but most of them fought against them. But that's more what the movie's about. Liberty and freedom, and how precious it is, and how much you're willing to sacrifice
give up for it.
To give up for it, and it went over well with the movie audiences.
And it's just a good movie.
Yeah, and it's a good movie. Yeah, it is a good movie.
So, 1940. Can I tell you about this bottom one here?
Sure.
I have a question.
Yeah,
So, I'm assuming that was a black actress, the lady, or whatever.
the entire cast was black.
Okay. Why are her legs white and her arms and stomach and
I-
face are black?
I can't answer that. I don't know. I don't think that's.
That's the first thing I saw.
I think it's just made a coloring or something.
Yeah, because literally,
I don't think
see
that's.
how it's not. Okay,
I don't
sorry.
think that has anything to do with it.
Squirrel.
Yeah.
Just me being, crazy. So, Cabin in the Sky by Warner Brothers.
Cabin in the Sky.
That's what I said. Cabin in the Sky.
Oh, I thought you said cat in the sky. Okay.
Cat in the Sky.
That's what I thought you
So
said.
there's that. Okay, a compulsive gambler dies during a shooting, but he'll receive a second chance to reform himself and to make up with his worried wife. Oh, there was 2 directors.
Right.
That's cool.
Well, Vincent Minnelli, who's Liza Minnelli's father.
Oh,
you know that.
okay.
Yeah, he did most of the directing, but I think
Bubsy Berkeley. I love
yeah,
that name.
he
Bubsy.
did some of it too.
The Bubs.
He orchestrated the songs and some of the other
Oh, okay.
the music in it. But it wasn't, it was a good movie. It was an all African American cast, and it was very well done. It's about a man selling his soul to the devil and then
okay.
trying to get it back. It's one,
okay.
a theme on that. And he's got a
The good
wife.
and bad and it all.
He's got a wife that's very religious and believes in God, and she's praying for him all the time. And he almost dies. In fact, he thinks he's dead. He thinks he's going to heaven.
Says he dies during a shooting.
Yeah, but he
Okay, so he
thinks-
doesn't die.
No, well, he goes to where he thinks is heaven, and he's seeing what hell is like, and he's getting scared and afraid, and he comes out of it, and a guardian angel, I guess, comes and keeps him going straight, and it's a
That
happy,
sounds good.
It's a happy ending, but the thing is the music in it, the songs in it were fabulous.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good.
Is Dance with Me Henry on
Yeah.
there?
No, Dance with Me Henry's not on there.
Okay. That's okay.
That's-
That's a good. So what's the whole like?
It's the first
just a good
full
movie.
cast African American movie
Oh, cool.
made in Hollywood.
That's cool. Exciting. So I got to watch that. That sounds really good. So since you went away,
All right, now we're getting into the war.
1944. Yeah, look at all those women. They look angry. With her husband away to fight in World War II, a housewife must care for their 2 daughters alone.
Right.
Holy cow, that's a ton of directors.
Well,
Nobody knew what they were doing?
I don't know, but the acting is phenomenal in it, and it's about one particular family that are waiting for her husband to come home and their father to come home, and he gets reported that he's killed in action.
Oh, no.
And it
sounds
devastates the
bad.
family. But they bring on a boarder because they need help, to pay the mortgage, so to speak, and whatever.
Yeah.
So they bring on an old-time man to rent a room. And he's very grumpy, but he's English, and he's very polished, and he has his own ways. He was played by Monty Woolley. And he's trying to get along with them, but the teenage daughter's driving him nuts. The dog is driving him nuts.
Oh, no.
So anyway, but he's kind of keeps himself isolated from them.
Yeah.
He wants his breakfast at a certain time with the poached egg done. 3
Oh,
minutes
that's
and
with the
all.
click and
Yeah,
the-
exactly. Anyway, his grandson comes to visit him, and he's in the army, and he's a corporal in the army, and
Yeah.
this guy's a retired colonel in the army. So he's disappointed that my grandson's only a corporal in the army.
Oh, okay.
And he has this strained relationship with him. But the grandson falls in love with the older daughter that lives there. And they start a relationship, and it's really well done. But he goes off to war, and he gets killed.
Oh, great.
And it totally devastates her, of course.
Oh,
She
yeah.
becomes, it all works out at the end, but the point is that it's about
Oh, it works out in the end. He got killed.
No, but other things happen that are positive.
Oh, okay.
And it brings the grandfather.
heart is broken.
No,
She's
it
all
brings the grandfather
sad.
close to them. It brings the grandfather
Oh,
very
okay.
close to them. She's like a daughter to him now because she was going to marry his grandson. So it's
Okay, so it brings the family.
Yeah, but
Very
it's-
family lovey.
exactly.
Okay.
But it shows you what families went through.
Well,
in the Second World War.
in the war, with
Yeah.
everybody dying.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we've got The Lost Weekend, 1945. The desperate life of a chronic alcoholic is followed through a 4-day drinking bout.
Need I say what that's about? I mean,
A
it's
boozer?
Yeah, it's about alcoholism and the dangers
So
of
when
it.
was it Prohibition when they took away all the alcohol?
1920s.
Oh, okay. So way after this.
Oh, way out. Yeah. And I wasn't a big fan of this movie. I saw it a couple of times. Ray Milland is fantastic at it. He plays the alcoholic.
Okay.
Very good actor. I think he might have won an award for that. But very good actor. But I just wasn't, it wasn't my type of story. But it does show the woes and the treachery.
Like the up and down.
And what happens when you let alcohol or drugs destroy your life. And that's why I picked this out, because he goes through hell. He destroys the families. He destroys himself. He recovers at the end, but it's very powerful in itself. And it's way before we even talked about drugs.
Well, yeah, because that's pretty much the only drug they really had.
Well, no, they had drugs.
Well, but
back
I mean,
then,
like,
but it wasn't used
readily
like it is.
available.
Right.
Yeah. 1946, 3 World War II veterans, 2 of them traumatized or disabled, return home to the American Midwest to discover that they and their families have been irreparably changed. The best years of our lives. That doesn't sound like the best years of your lives.
Well, obviously, this is totally opposite of what Since You Went Away was. This is about what happens to families after they come home. And the families, meaning there's 3 families here. There's a sergeant in the Army that comes home to a wife and 2 kids. There's a captain from the Air Force that comes home to a wife that is not very wifely. She likes to have fun and run around. And then there's a sailor that comes home who's a double amputee. He has no hands.
Okay, well, that's good that they actually showed, like, the other parts of
And
it.
his neighbor is in love with him and wants to marry him, and he doesn't want no part of it because he doesn't want to be,
Whatever,
he
'cause
doesn't
he has
want
no
her.
hands. Yeah.
He doesn't want her to have to deal with it. And it's a very, very emotional story, and there's
Interesting.
a lot of ups and downs in it. and you can see some of the hypocrisy of the people back home when how they treat veterans. That's why I brought this up.
Yeah.
And there's even one scene in the drugstore where this guy is trying to recruit the amputee sailor to join a party, which happens to be a communist party. And he's bad-mouthing the U.S. The U.S. did that to you. You have no hands because,
Yeah.
and they get in a big fight there, and the other guy helps him out because he has no hands.
Punch him with your stump, buddy.
Yeah, well, he should have. But anyway, it's all about what went on, and it's a well-done movie, and the acting is very good in it.
Okay. Never heard of it. But you never know. A Gentleman's Agreement, 1947. A reporter pretends to be Jewish in order to cover a story on anti-Semitism and personally discovers the true depths of bigotry and hatred.
Very well done. It's obviously it's about anti-Semitism and what it was like here right after the war, and really, this sort of helped me with my last book that I wrote because I didn't realize we were still having problems in 1947 with anti-Semitism, but then I found out it was still going on very strongly in the 1950s when I wrote my book. That's what I wrote my book about. So this is what kind of spurred me into looking into it more.
Okay.
But it's Gregory Peck's in it. He's really good in it. He's an excellent actor. But it shows you everything that they go through as Jewish people at the time. And he pretends to be Jewish to see what the effects
truly see
are.
it, yeah.
And he has a very good friend that just got out of the Army, John Garfield. I don't know if you ever heard of him, but he was
The name sounds familiar.
He was like a Brad Pitt back in the 40s.
Okay.
And so he comes home and he's Jewish and he's telling him, you don't want to do this.
Like, don't do it. I'm telling you, don't do it.
And he says, no, I have to find out. And his girlfriend, excuse me, is not supportive of it. And she kind of like gets turned off on him while he's doing this because she doesn't like what's going on. And he sort of like says, I don't know why, I don't know if I want to marry you now because
you're totally.
So it's very, I mean, it all ends up well at the end.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of conflict. There's a lot of anger. There's a lot of mistreatment of people. And it just surprised me that it was the way it was. So that's why I selected this movie because this is a movie worth watching.
Okay. Sounds good. 1947, Crossfire. A man is murdered apparently by one of a group of
GIs.
Okay.
I can't see it.
Demobilized soldiers
GIs, yeah.
he met in a bar.
Right.
But which one and why? Bum, bum, bum,
This
bum.
is again about anti-Semitism, but it was originally written book about prejudice against African Americans, but they didn't want to produce it that way in 1947.
So it was one of the other one of the other veterans that killed him?
One of the soldiers is a bigot. He hates Jewish people. He hates everybody, and he's just nasty. And the guy that plays him, Robert Ryan. I mean, if you don't hate him,
I know that name.
If you don't hate him at the end of the movie, well,
You didn't watch it?
You didn't watch it because he was fabulous. I mean, he was just evil.
Just the epitome of it.
Right, but it's just the way the military interact with the local police and the attitude of people who wants to cover it up and who doesn't want to cover it up. And is it really going on? And it can't be true.
But don't really look at it. Yeah.
It can't be
Gee,
true.
that sounds like, today.
It does, doesn't it? Exactly.
It's not really happening.
Exactly.
No, don't look here.
Exactly.
1948, The Rope. Oh, Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah, this is
Two
a
men
Hitchcock.
attempt to prove they committed the perfect crime by hosting a dinner party after strangling their former classmate to death. Why would you prove that you committed the perfect
Because
crime and not just let him die?
That was the game. You have to see the movie.
Oh, it was made by Warner Brothers. Cool.
Now, this is a movie that...
Was this Alfred's kick?
No, it wasn't his first movie.
Okay,
no.
thank you for understanding my mess.
No, this movie is a type of movie, if you want to get into it, you have to watch it about 3 times.
3 times? Oh, I love
Because
those movies.
it's
It's like
just...
you miss stuff every
You miss
time.
so much, and the
So
first time you watch it, if you're anything like I am, you're saying,
What's going on?
this movie don't make any sense. It's just, it's okay, but nothing great. But by the time you watch it the 3rd time, it just rings your bell.
So there is a movie like that. God, I think of it and then I don't think of it. and it's about this guy, and he has like 9 different personalities, and they're all in this show. I have to think. I'll remember it. I promise. It's really good. I had to watch it like 6 times before I knew what the hell was going
now
on.
that you brought it up, you have to remember it.
I know. I
Okay.
never remember it. Every time I bring it up, I'm like, it's so good, and
Well,
then I think of it later
You can do full disclosure next week on your show.
if I think of it.
Right.
Okay.
Go back to that again for a second, though. So what this is about, though, is it's about homosexuality.
Really?
Well, yes. And they didn't want to do it at first, and Hitchcock fought for it. And it's explicit. I mean,
So
first
is the guy that they killed a homosexual,
Yes.
or was he
They-
like trying to hit on the other guys,
let's
or
put
what?
it this way: all 3 of them have light loafers. you
Was
know?
it
I
a
mean,
love triangle?
Well, it was no.
And somebody
it
was
no,
upset?
It wasn't. It was just that he was the one in the way of them. They chose him to be the victim so they could prove they could pull off the perfect crime.
That makes 0 sense.
That's what's wrong with the movie the first time you watch it. But watch it the second and third time and you'll see. It's a well done movie.
I lost my mouse.
It's a typical.
My mouse is broken. There it goes. It falls asleep. Hitchcock made you see things that wasn't in the film.
Yep.
Brilliant.
Yep, it is. He's a brilliant director.
I'll have
He's
to.
in there a couple other
I've
times. So
seen that one.
you got to watch it more than once, though.
Pinky, 1949. A light-skinned black woman falls in love with a white doctor, though he is unaware of her true race.
Right. This is starring Jeannie Crane, who was fabulous at this. I never saw her in anything after this, but she was great in this. And she is a Caucasian.
Pinky.
She is Caucasian, but she played a light-skinned African American, and her mother was fabulous in it too. And
Oh, her mom was in it?
Yeah,
Oh,
and-
that's cool.
and the whole thing is about obviously mixed race marriages and what they went through back then, and the pain it caused, and the anger, and everything.
The pointlessness of it all. I mean,
Exactly, and the so-called evilness of it, which it wasn't, but that's what they felt back then. So it was played up quite, obvious.
dramatically.
In
So
the movie.
was it to push towards having interracial marriages, or was it to frown against it?
No, I think this is my opinion now. I
Yeah.
can't prove it because
I haven't
everybody,
watched it, so I don't
everybody
know.
would have to have their own opinion on it. I believe it's to discourage it.
Oh, okay.
I can't be 100% on that.
Okay. Well, did it end happily or did it end badly?
I don't remember the ending. I really don't. I mean, there's some of these movies I haven't seen in a long, long time.
Dad, did you not prepare for the show?
Yeah, could I watch 80 movies? Yeah.
You were the one who picked the movies. Just saying.
I picked them for what reason?
Don't know.
Message.
1950s outrage. A young woman who has just become engaged has her life completely shattered when she is raped while on her way home from work. Ooh,
This
that's
is-
the first one.
Well, that's why it's on there.
Okay, okay.
That's why it's on
How
it.
well did that? Was she naked?
No.
Okay.
But it was brutal in a sense, and the frustration she had to go through as a victim was terrible. And I think that was the point of the whole movie. That even back then they were saying, "Hey, we got to recognize this is a problem."
I was gonna say, so were more women being raped?
I wouldn't say more women. I just think it wasn't talked about. People just hit it under. Even if you
Like you were ashamed and you weren't the one that did anything.
If you had a daughter or a wife that was raped, you didn't dare discuss it with anybody. You just let it go, and they would do the same thing. It was something that was almost like, how some women say,
Like the victim was ashamed.
I feel like I'm the guilty one instead of the victim.
Yeah.
That's what this is kind of saying.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was sort of, but what did it do? Did it discourage against raping, or did it bring it to light to where people could talk
I
about it?
think-
Like, what was the point?
Yes, I think it brought some sympathy rightfully so, sympathy to the situation.
Okay.
And to victims. Yes, I think it did.
Okay. I didn't know what the purpose was. 1951, whatever that movie is called.
I can't see it.
It's your Japanese one.
It should say something on there.
Nope, doesn't have a name on it.
Seven Samurai.
Sure.
Yeah, this
It's in
is
Japanese, so I don't know what that is.
well. It was a great movie.
The
If you-
rape of a bride and the murder of her samurai husband are recalled from the perspectives of a bandit, the bride, the samurai's ghost, and a woodcutter.
Right. This is
So is that Seven Samurai? Oh,
no,
okay.
Rashomon. And this is, it's kind of like, it mixes everything up in one violent thing. Rape, murder, violence.
Samurais.
And no, it shows you how people, when they report a crime and are witnesses to a crime, all have a different story. Everybody sees it differently.
Everybody has a different perspective.
And at the end, you're going, wait a minute, how is this the lady's fault? You know, it's like,
Yeah, she
what's
didn't kill him.
What's going on here? And it was actually remade by Paul Newman in the 1960s.
Oh, okay.
Called Outrage, where it was, you know, you had English titles and everything.
Yeah, okay.
So, but that's what it was really about. It's how people see things
differently. Oh, that's cool. Okay,
Yeah.
so what was the point of that? Just opening up, like, different perspectives, or what was their? What was the message?
Well, the message was that everything you see is not necessarily what somebody else sees.
Okay.
And so, you know, that it doesn't make
So
you
be aware that there's different perspectives to the same
and
situation.
it doesn't make you right all the time.
Okay. Just because you saw
Like-
it that way doesn't mean that
Like
that's what
certain
happened.
people think they're right all the time, you know.
Yeah. Well, and you saw different. Everybody sees the different thing because that's their
Right.
what they want to get out of it.
Exactly.
So, okay. So 1951, Strangers on a Train, Alfred Hitchcock, he's back again. A psychopath forces a tennis star to comply with his theory that two strangers can get away with murder.
Yep.
He's trying to get away with murder. He's not doing a very good job.
Well, actually, they do a pretty good job.
Oh, do they? Hey, there's a Carol in there. I wonder if he's part of me. Probably not.
Are you reading any of these statements up there? I can't see them.
The name says right there.
No, I'm saying,
I've been clicking up the ones that are up there. You don't need to worry about them.
okay. I'm just making sure because I can't read
I got my
anything.
peoples. You're good. Don't worry about my peoples.
Okay.
You worry about your movies.
All right. Anyway, Strangers on Your Train, I think it was 1951. Yeah,
1951.
Okay, this is a story.
Forces a tennis star. Okay.
This is a story about homosexuality again.
What is with him and
What?
homosexual? Was he a little?
I don't know. He was married. I
That
don't
don't
know.
mean nothing.
I know. I'm just saying he was married. I don't know.
Just means he wanted to make babies.
But
That's all I
Farley
know.
Granger plays a tennis star. He's a tennis star actually out on Long Island. And,
So it was a dude tennis guy?
what do you mean?
It was a dude tennis star. It
Yeah.
wasn't a chick?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
no. He was straight. This guy.
That's not what I asked. I
I know
asked
what you said.
if the tennis star was a dude or a chick.
He was a dude.
In my head, I saw a chick. That's why I wanted to.
No. But anyway, he meets this guy on the train, Robert Walker, who is a rich, spoiled lunatic.
Okay.
But he's gay.
Okay.
And back then, you didn't show these characters the way Hitchcock shows him.
Oh, okay.
It's very, very obvious from the beginning
Okay.
that he's
not
gay.
one of those like
No.
could they maybe be?
No.
In
no.
the other one, was it very obvious?
No, this was more obvious.
This one was more obvious.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, he meets him on a train, and they have lunch together. And Farley Granger, the tennis player, is just blowing him off. He doesn't want to listen to him.
Yeah.
But he starts talking about the perfect murder,
Okay.
and he says,
The rich guy does.
yeah, not the tennis
Okay.
player, the other guy. And so Farley Granger is not listening to him, and after he gets finished, he says, "So we have a deal, right?" And the guy just looks.
He's
at
like,
him.
wait, what?
Yeah, and he just gets off the train, but he leaves his lighter behind. And anyway, this guy
How
decides.
convenient.
This guy decides to go through with the murder of the tennis player's wife,
Oh shoot. Okay.
and now the tennis player is obligated to kill the father
Of whoever
the
he
rich
wanted
guy.
to, yeah.
Anyway,
Oh,
and that's
so it was
what,
like an eye for an eye kind
yeah,
of thing?
and it goes back and forth, and the police. Are
I've
after
heard
him.
of this.
Yeah.
Because they try to put like, how do you connect them?
Right. Well, that's the whole thing. How do you connect them? And it was difficult, but because he didn't kill the father, the rich guy plants his lighter and kills a woman at a carnival and leaves the lighter there. And now the police are after him.
That's messed up.
But anyway, yeah.
so now this guy's killed two people and the other guy hasn't even killed one,
Right.
and now he's guilty.
You got to watch that one because
that one sounds good. I think I've heard of that one before.
what's unique about it is the way he portrays the characters. Hitchcock, I'm talking about. It's really well done.
That sounds kind of good. 1952, a town marshal, Gary Cooper, High Noon.
Right, High Noon.
High
right.
Noon. Okay. Oh, I've heard of High Noon. A town marshal, despite the disagreements of his newlywed bride and the townspeople around him must face a gang of deadly killers alone at high noon. When the gang leader and outlaw he sent up
Yeah.
years ago arrives on the train. What's sent up?
Puts him in jail.
Oh, sorry. Put in jail years ago, arrives on the train at noon. Bum, 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 bum.
Exactly. Well,
Bum, bum, bum,
this
bum,
is
bum.
done by a director named
Do they like stand in the street and pew pew pew?
No.
Oh.
This is done by a guy named Carl Foreman. He wrote this, I believe, the screenplay.
Oh, okay.
And he was actually right after this. I don't know if you heard of the House of Un-American Activity, but like 10 or 12 writers and actors, everything were banned from working anymore because they were members of
they
the
were-
Communist Party.
Oh.
And for several years, they weren't allowed to make films. Anyway, he was one of the people involved with High Noon. But the message in this movie is really very confusing because, in one sense of the word, they're making out Gary Cooper to look like a hero.
Yeah.
When he's really not a hero. But then they're making the townspeople look like cowards because they don't want to help him against this killer and his
That's
three-
a whole
three
lot of-
companions.
whole lot of mess.
Yeah, but the problem with this is there's an underlying message in here of socialism, and you got to see the movie to understand it. I still don't get it, but
How is there
I
socialism
don't
in there
get
if
it.
he's
I don't.
everybody's hiding and does he
But
take all their stuff to
It's-
like kill
it's-
this guy?
It's a known fact that this movie, even though it won awards, was frowned upon by the actors in Hollywood that were conservative, including John Wayne. In fact, John Wayne turned this role down, and he didn't know why Gary Cooper took it because him and Gary Cooper were very good friends. But yeah, there was a lot going on in the script, and I could never pick it up.
Okay,
I've watched
okay.
this 3 or 4 times, but
Maybe
that's
I'll have
why
to watch
that's
it.
why it's there.
Okay. So From Here to Eternity, 1953. At a U.S. Army base in 1941 Hawaii, a private is cruelly punished for not boxing on his unit's team while his commanding officer's wife and top aide began a tentative affair.
Yeah, this has got everything in it: adultery, anti-Semitism,
lot
violence.
Frank Sinatra.
Yeah, Frank Sinatra.
Donna Reed.
Yeah, Donna Reed plays it.
Oh, Burt Lancaster. That's a lot of people I know.
Well, that's one of the unique things. Donna Reed is always the sweetheart of movies
Was
in
she the
Hollywood.
hooker?
She's the hooker.
I love
Yeah, and she plays a great role in it.
She was such a good,
I think she won the award for
Wholehearted mom.
best supporting actress. I think she
For
won
being
that.
a hooker. See,
Yeah.
Donna Reed? Hooking
Yeah.
has good stuff for
It
you.
does. It absolutely does. But the movie has everything in it. But it's kind of like it's written by James Jones, and he writes a lot of these war movies. And this was sort of like a prelude to Second World War because at the end, Pearl Harbor, they're stationed at Pearl Harbor.
Oh, okay.
And at the end, Japanese attack Pearl Harbor.
Oh, okay,
And-
okay, okay.
So it's everything going up to that point. But everything that goes on in the movie.
You got violence, you got hookers, you
well,
got...
the whole thing is, you ask yourself, why did they pick on this guy? Because he didn't want to fight. Because he was a fighter before,
Yeah.
and he blinded somebody, so he refused to fight
Oh, so
anymore.
now he's sad. Yeah,
Right.
he feels bad. Okay.
But he's Jewish also, and it's implied in there.
So there was that hate
Yeah,
as
so
well.
it was sort of like an implication that maybe they just wanted to pick on him
'Cause he was
because he was Jewish. So you don't really know that, but it's implied in there.
Okay. Alrighty. So
But
now
I actually picked that out because Donna Reed was a hooker. I thought that was unique.
Okay, so On the Waterfront, is that what it's called?
Yes,
Oh, Marlon Brando.
Yes.
Okay, okay. Is he wearing lipstick on purpose?
I don't know. Don't go by that. There might be the coloring of the thing.
Okay, could be. Sorry, it looks like he's wearing lipstick. An ex-prize fighter turned New Jersey. Maybe it's just blood. A fighter. An ex-prize fighter turned New Jersey longshoreman.
Longshoreman, the guys who
Okay.
work the docks.
Oh, okay, okay. Struggles to stand up to his corrupt union bosses, including his older brother, as he starts to connect with the grieving sister of one of the syndicates.
Syndicates, victims.
What's a syndicate?
The mafia. It's like a
Oh,
syndicate.
okay. I gotta use words like that.
Well, they don't apply that here, but obviously this is a movie about unions and what happens when they get corrupt, and when organized crime takes over the union. This happened quite a bit in the 50s, and it's still going on, sadly to say, in some places. I won't dare name names, but there are certain industries today that's still controlled by organized crime. So that's what this is about.
That's cool.
The union being corrupted by organized crime and what they did to people who didn't want to pay their dues and didn't want to be part of the union. It's it's well acted. It has a priest in it that's involved, and again, Marlon Brando is the hero in it, but he's sort of like an anti-hero. He doesn't want to be a hero.
Yeah.
And he's part of the mob at the beginning.
Okay.
He's the brother of one of the guys in the mob.
Yeah.
And they kind of treat him good because
Because he's the brother.
yeah, and he's like, they loved him as a fighter.
Yeah.
So they treat him good, but when he decides to
Not.
turn evidence against him, there's an
That
issue
usually
with that.
doesn't work.
Right, it doesn't work out though.
No.
But it's about exposure of the unions to organized crime. That's what it's
Okay.
about.
So 1955, Blackboard Jungle. I love the 50 skirts, man. A new English teacher at a violent, unruly inner city school is determined to do his job despite resistance from both students and faculty. Isn't that like, nope, can't remember the name of that movie.
There's several movies that have been out way after that, but this was the first
Oh,
movie.
yeah, no, this was in the 50s.
This is the first movie that talked about and exposed juvenile delinquency in this
okay.
country, because other than, before this happened, they talked about young teenage crime and gangs and stuff.
Yeah.
But they linked this to juvenile delinquents. It became the big thing in the mid-50s. And they blamed a lot of it on rock and roll, which, by the way, the theme song in this particular movie is Rock Around the Clock, which was a classic
Yeah.
rock and roll song back then. So it kind of brought the rock and roll music with the theme of juvenile delinquency together. And this teacher, who was played by Glenn Ford, I think,
Could be.
he's trying to reach these kids, and he can't reach them. I mean, it's all boys' school.
Yeah.
So it's just they don't want to listen. They sit there and they draw pictures and they mock him, and he doesn't know how to get to them. So finally he says, let me try this. So he brings a projector in and shows them a cartoon of Jack and the Beanstalk.
Oh, okay.
And he actually gets them to talk about it. And he
Oh,
starts
that's cool.
opening up. But there's a couple of kids in the class that don't want him there. And they do everything to get him out of there, including lying about him, saying he's a racist, and
Okay.
writing dirty notes to his wife and threatening her.
Oh, wow.
She almost has a miscarriage. But anyway, yeah, that's
So
what
they
this-
were a little extreme.
yeah, they were extreme. They were violent, and at the end, things work out well. But it's an interesting take on the education system. Hasn't really changed a lot, and
not so much.
what went on then still goes on, and it's an eye awakening, look at what happened in the 1950s.
Okay.
But it's all about juvenile delinquency.
Okay. So 1956, The Searchers.
Yeah.
An American Civil War veteran embarks on a years-long journey to rescue his niece from the Comanches after the rest of his brother's family is massacred in a raid on their Texas farm.
This is a very confusing movie, it has a subliminal message in it, because you have to look at the whole movie, because you're
John
saying,
Wayne.
yeah, but the whole thing is that in this movie, his character hates Native Americans, and
Well, can you blame him? He cured their whole family.
but the
like-
whole message doesn't go that way. There is sympathy for the Native Americans also in it.
Oh, okay.
And it's very confusing in some aspects, but it's well done, and the scenery is fabulous. But his character is really evil. For John
Okay.
Wayne, very evil.
Wow.
And they kidnap his daughter and slaughter his niece, and slaughter his brother and the whole family. So he goes after her, and he doesn't find her for a few years. He's with one of the nephews of the family that was slaughtered, and they searched for I think at least a year or two. They can't find
So are
him.
they like following the Indians, or what are they doing?
They're following after trying to track him down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
okay.
get all these false leads and everything, but it turns out what they do find her. She's 16 years old, and she's indoctrinated into Native American life.
Yeah, 'cause she's been
and
there.
She don't want to go with him, and he steals her away, and he wants to kill her. because
Really?
yeah, and
Because
it's-
she's become one of them.
he's a very dark character in this, but
Interesting.
the whole thing is that, his whole mind is set on one thing: Native Americans are evil.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. But yet you see the compassion on the other side too
For
during
that.
during the
Okay.
film. It's well done. It's well done.
Sounds good.
But it was definitely, I think, an anti-Native American film overall.
Okay. Okay. So 1957 is 12 Angry Men. A jury in a New York City murder trial is frustrated by a single member whose skeptical caution forces them to more carefully consider the evidence before jumping into a hasty verdict. Ooh, see, I've seen 12 Angry Men. I don't think I've seen the original.
I don't know if there is another.
Then it might be that one.
There might
'Cause
be.
I
There might
remember
be a
seeing
remake.
that one. I don't know. I mean, it was an older movie, but I don't know if it was the 1950s.
Well, it's about justice in our system of government.
Well, and isn't it everybody's ready to like hang the guy
Oh,
except
yeah.
for one,
Yeah,
and then they're
exactly.
like, "But wait, this doesn't make sense," and he
Exactly.
literally just changes everybody, right?
One at a time, he changes them all. But there's a lot involved in it. You see the anger and the bigotry of because it was first of all, it was all white men in the jury,
Yeah.
and some of them were older, old-fashioned. You could see they were bigots.
Okay.
You saw the frustration on some of the others. They all came from different walks of life.
Yeah.
And they're all interacting on this one issue, and they all have their own perspectives. And it's amazing how this one guy, who happens to be Henry Fonda, changes one mind after, even to the last two who are really bigoted.
Yeah.
He changes their mind at the end. It's well done. And the whole thing is that you're asking yourself, if this was a white kid on trial,
Yeah.
would they have been so quick to want to convict him? Where he happened to be Hispanic, the kid. And
Okay.
so, they were ready to go home. They said, yeah, he's guilty. Let's go.
See, and I remember that. But again, like I remember watching it, and it was so long ago. I don't know if it was the original one. I'll have to look.
I
don't know
can't
if
tell
they
you if
remade it.
they may have made one. I don't
know, but I
wasn't aware
remember
of it.
that like this guy slowly changes everybody's mind. Like he asks so many questions and makes people look at it, like you said, perception.
Right,
Make
right.
people look at it from different things.
Right.
Then we have 1958, The Defiant Ones.
Right.
Two chained together escaped convicts, one white, one black, must learn to get along in order to elude capture.
Well, this is self-explanatory.
That sounds good.
It's first of all, it's taken down south, back in the early 50s or late 40s. The scene I'm talking about, the
Yeah.
location, and these two convicts escape. One's black and one's white, and they hate each other right from the start because he's a Southern white, and he just hates Sidney Poitier, who plays the black man.
Yeah.
And so they're just going at it as they're trying to escape. And they keep running and arguing with each other and fighting as the posse is, gaining ground on
Yeah.
them. And it's really about racism and how two people who start out hating each other can become so close to survive under
Exactly.
these terrible circumstances. And
So it's our first like human.
it's the
movie.
first time you see an actual,
Like we got to learn to work together because we're both
an
humans.
actual.
Oh,
right.
sorry, wrong button.
Yeah, it's okay, but yeah,
I'm so sorry.
it's well done. The acting's good. The ending surprised me a little bit, but
Yeah?
but it's well done. Go, you should watch it if you get a chance.
It sounds good. 1959, Imitation of Life.
Imitation of Life. Yeah,
Okay.
that's a remake. It was done in the 30s.
Oh, okay.
This is the one in the 59.
An aspiring white actress takes in an African American widow whose mixed race daughter is desperate to be seen as white.
Yeah, this is very.
Ooh, that's tough.
This is very tough. The acting is phenomenal in this, and the drama behind it is unbelievable.
Yeah, because that hits a lot of.
And the thing is that the daughter, the mixed race daughter, is good friends with the white woman's daughter. They're both the same age, but the white woman's daughter is rich because the white woman is rich.
Yeah.
And the mixed race woman mother is the housekeeper for the white woman.
Yeah.
So she's not getting the same
Treatment, of course
treatment
not.
in life, but she wants to. So she wants to deny her black heritage. And she
Yeah.
starts dating white guys, and it's very well done. It really, it scared the hell out of me when I realized how human beings can be and how they can.
How terrible they are.
And the whole thing with this thing, the funeral scene at the end, and I won't give it away, but the funeral scene at the end is unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's the most emotional, most, I don't know what to say. It just
Eye-opening.
it just grabbed me so hard, and I wanted to just reach
Dad's
in.
big softy.
And, yeah, it was tough, but it's really well done. But it's about
That sounds good. I might have to watch that.
yeah, it's about
That sounds really good.
It's about the implications of being mixed race.
Okay. Then we've got 1960.
Are we ahead of time or what? I don't
Yeah,
know.
we're out of time.
Are we really?
It's 8:25.
We better get going here.
You want to keep going,
Yeah.
or you want to stop?
Oh, don't you
How
want-
many more do we have? We have 20 years, Dad. We're at 1960.
Well, we'll go to where we can't go. That's all.
Well, we have 5 minutes.
Well, we could do 10 minutes.
Okay, we're gonna go a little bit over, guys. Here we go. 1960. Dad's gonna have to hurry up and stop gabbing.
Yeah. Well, stop asking me questions.
Stop asking questions. Come on now, you know better than that. In 1960, the movie, I don't know what the movie's called. Judgment at Noodleberg?
No, not Noodleberg. Nuremberg.
I can't read it. It's little and at the bottom. Why would you
Judgment-
make the title at little and at the bottom,
I don't
people?
know. Judgment at Nuremberg.
Okay. In 1948, hey, that's what my truck is made. An American court in occupied Germany tries 4 Nazis judged for war crimes.
Right.
Ooh, okay.
This is exactly what it's about. It's about judges on trial for their lives who were judges under the Nazi regime.
Okay.
And what they did or claimed they didn't do, and how the American want to prosecute them.
Okay.
And how the defense, who happens to be a German guy, is trying to defend them. And it's very, very dramatic and
That
very
sounds
emotional.
good.
Yeah. And there's a lot of tough scenes in it about, concentration camps and how they treated individuals. Montgomery Cliff is in it. He's treated as a victim in it, what he went through. Judy Garland's in it. She was treated as a victim in it. The concept is very frightening because what they really got away with in the Second World War is just unbelievable. But anyway, that's what it's about.
That sounds really good, actually. Very dramatic. 1960, Sergeant Rutledge.
Sergeant Rutledge, right.
Respected black cavalry Sergeant Brax Rutledge stands
Right.
court-martial for raping and killing a white woman and murdering her father, his superior officer. Oh, that's all bad.
It's all bad, but it's not true. And you spend the whole movie trying to disprove it.
Okay.
And there's a trial and stuff like that.
So
But-
how does he get framed for this then?
Because he was in there at the crime scene before it happened. And he was seen in there.
Oh, okay. Guilty by association,
Yeah.
but not really.
And I think one of his gloves was left there or something.
Oh, okay.
But what's
that's because he
unique-
probably was doing the naughty, but
that's,
you know.
That's not why I picked the movie. I
Oh,
picked the
okay.
movie because he was the first African American that had a starring role in a movie.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Psycho. Bum, bum, bum. What year is this, Dad?
It's 1959 and 1960, right?
It's got to be 60 or 61. Hoping for a fresh start with her broke boyfriend, Marion, Janet Lee steals a huge sum of her boss's
Money.
huge sum from her boss. Sorry, I'm just making stuff up. And skips town, eventually stopping at a remote motel. There, she's served by the intensely awkward yet docile Norman Bates, whom she often hears arguing with his domineering mother. But later that night, Marion is brutally slain, and Norman finds and hides the body. When a detective and Marion's system visit the motel to investigate, they uncover the shocking truths. Ba, 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 ba.
We don't have to even talk. I mean, this is obvious.
We all know Psycho.
The scene in the shower is the whole movie. It's violent. It's terrible. Nobody ever seen anything like that. And there is a catch at the end. Norman Bates is not who he seems to be. His mother is not who she seems to be, so to speak. And I don't want to give any of it away if somebody hasn't seen it. But it's a terrifying movie for 1960. It really is. And the music, the background music.
So you know that music still to this day.
It's just fabulous, and it's scary as all.
So.
So that's kind of like one of Hitchcock's best But
That's what he's known for, essentially.
I'm saying that that's the first time they got away with that kind of shower scene, with the violence and the nudity. That's why I picked
okay.
that. I don't know. do we
Oh,
have
West
time?
Side Story. Ba, 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 ba. 1960. Do you want to keep going? Because I mean,
I don't know.
we're at 8:30. Or do you want to just talk about it next time?
Well, do these two and then we'll stop.
Okay. 1961, West Side Story. The two youngsters from rival New York City gangs fall in love, but tensions between their respective friends build towards tragedy.
Well,
This was the first musical dance.
yes, ballet
thing,
actually.
right?
It was really ballet,
Okay.
most of it, and it was unique because nobody had ever seen that before. And watching two teenage gangs in New York City doing
Dance,
ballet,
yeah.
it was unbelievable. But the music, the songs,
Well, and it's still so famous to this day.
the lyrics, everything was fabulous. But it's
So-
about two gangs, one
Fighting.
white gang and one Latino gang, fighting for territory in New York City, which still goes on today, by
Yeah.
the way. And it was unique because of the music and the dancing. That's
Yeah.
why I chose it.
That's cool. And then 1962, To Kill a Mockingbird. Atticus Finch, a widowed lawyer in the Depression era Alabama, defends a black man against an undeserved rape charge and tries to educate his young children against prejudice. So this was the first turn where we're trying to defend.
Yes. Yeah, well, because remember, this was down south.
Yeah.
And here you have a white attorney defending an African-American man that's accused of raping a white woman.
Yeah.
And everybody's against him. And the only people that are for him is his daughter and son, young daughter and
Yeah.
son. And she doesn't understand why people are treating this African American
so
the
bad,
way,
yeah.
and why they were treating him so bad. And it's the courtroom drama in itself is worth watching because he's up against it with everybody. And I'm not going to tell you the outcome of it, but he really fights bigots and he goes through hell with this. And his young daughter because everything's seen in her eyes,
Yeah.
through her eyes. And this was written by a woman who was close friends with Truman Capote. I can't think of her name right now. I wish I could, but she that was her only book she ever wrote.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, it was a
and-
very good book.
Yeah,
She did very well.
But what's unique about this also is the fact that like I said, it's the first time you see a white attorney defending a black man in a rape trial of a white woman. But what's unique even more is Robert Duvall made his first appearance in movies in this, playing a slow guy.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't say he's mentally retarded, but he's very slow, and he kind of everybody's afraid of him. He lives in a spooky house, and nobody goes there. But his daughter Scout, loves the guy, and he
Okay.
actually saves her life.
Oh, okay.
So
Cool.
it's really well done.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we're stopping now.
So
right?
we're going to stop.
All right. I talk too much.
No, I knew you were never going to get through it. You sent way too much stuff. There was no way we were going to do it.
I
It was
tried.
still good, though. Everybody
tried.
liked it. It was good stuff. So many good movies.
Yeah.
So,
Like I say, some of the movies you might find the acting funny in, especially the real old ones. But there's more to the movie.
that's just
than
because it's
that.
changing.
Exactly.
You're learning a new
Exactly.
system, essentially.
Yep.
So, well, we do want to, again, remind everybody that we are on Spotify. Go and check us out. Listen to us on your way to work, while you're at the gym, whatever you want. You can watch us, the videos on there too. Totally up to you. We also have the website, coffeetablechronicle.com. Come and check us out. We do have some stuff on there. We want to mention our sponsor. How's that coffee treating you, Dad?
Good.
Very good. Our sponsor, Americano Ammunition Coffee. Go and check them out. Best coffee in Arizona. And you can still always, even if you don't live in Arizona, you can still order coffee at www.americanoammoandcoffee.com. Oh my goodness. But I think you can do americanocoffee.com too. I think they have both. And then we have Red Hen Bakery, which is now selling at Americano Ammunition Coffee. Pastries and yummy, delicious things. It's good stuff.
It is.
Lemon poppy seed cakes, which are my favorite. So we want to thank everybody for coming and seeing us today. A little bit different show, going over movies and kind of
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it.
what the intentions were. Let us know which ones you guys enjoy. Let me see what everybody's saying. Oh, thanks. We do so well together, Dad. See?
Okay, that's good.
Uh-huh. He's like, only if you make me that fudge. So thank you guys. We will see you next week. Keith will be back. We might have Dad on to go through the rest of the movies. We haven't decided yet. There's dogs in the studio, by the way, if you heard that. There's tails, and there's probably going to be barking here any minute. So thank you for joining us. We will see you guys later. Have a good night.
Take care now. Bye-bye.
Bye.